The reign of King Solomon is a moment in the rich tapestry of ancient Israelite history that stands out as a dazzling apex. During this time, the nation achieved unprecedented levels of prosperity, peace, and glory. During a period of great promise and potential, Solomon, the son of King David and Bathsheba, rose to prominence and succeeded his father. At this point, Solomon would be burdened with the responsibility of maintaining the nation's unity and bringing it to its highest point. His father had safeguarded the nation via victory and covenant. The ascension of Solomon to the throne was not without its share of conflict. The early stages of his ascension to power were defined by political maneuvering, the firm hand of his mother Bathsheba, and the prophet Nathan. This was due to the fact that he had numerous sons who were competing for authority. Solomon, however, immediately established that he was not merely an inheritor of David's tradition, but rather a monarch in his own right after he was enthroned. The defining characteristic of his early administration was a stunning contact with the holy that occurred during that time. The young king had a dream in which God asked him to beg for everything he desired on his behalf. Solomon, who was aware of the magnitude of his responsibilities, did not ask for wealth or a long life. Rather, he requested knowledge, which would allow him to distinguish between right and wrong and to govern in a just manner. As a result of this altruistic request, God bestowed upon him not only intelligence, but also wealth and honor that couldn't be compared to anything else. It didn't take long for his decisions and policies to demonstrate the knowledge he possessed. Solomon's reputation as a judge of exceptional discernment was created via the well-known incident of two women claiming the same infant. This story, which was a test of maternal instinct and human psychology, captivated the curiosity of the country. Nevertheless, his sage advice was not limited to the courtroom. Solomon is attributed with producing thousands of proverbs and contemplative essays on life, ethics, and the nature of God. He became a philosopher king, a thinker, and a writer. David is credited with writing these works. The biblical writings of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Songs are typically assigned to his hand. Each of these books reveals a different aspect of his intellectual capacity and spiritual understanding. It was under Solomon's reign that Israel emerged as a center for international trade and diplomacy. Through his marriage to the daughter of the Pharaoh, he established strategic ties, most notably with Egypt. He also established relationships with the Phoenician king Hiram of Tyre, who provided Israel with lumber and craftsmen for its construction endeavors. Not only were these alliances politically astute, but they also completely altered the economic landscape. Because Israel was situated between key commercial routes, it was able to prosper as a result of the goods that traveled through its boundaries, which resulted in the royal coffers becoming enriched. Solomon began a massive construction project that transformed Jerusalem into a city of grandeur. This endeavor was made possible by the money that was coming in from both land and sea. Building the temple in Jerusalem was the crowning achievement of his reign and the crowning jewel of his rule. The Ark of the Covenant, which is considered to be the most sacred object in Israel, had been kept in a movable tabernacle up until that point. Solomon was the one who was given the opportunity to construct a permanent house for God, rather than David, who had dreamed of doing so. 7 years were required to construct the temple, during which time tens of thousands of laborers and skilled artisans worked under the supervision of the royal family. Wood from Lebanon, gold from Ophir, exquisite linens, and bronze were among of the materials that were utilized in its creation. After the construction of the temple was finished, Solomon held a grand ceremony to dedicate it. During the event, he offered sacrifices and prayers that have been heard throughout the years. He declared the temple to be not a habitation for God in the human sense, because no structure could possibly hold the Almighty, but rather a location where his name would abide, a place where people may turn to seek mercy, justice, and blessing. Eventually, the temple evolved into something more than a place of worship. It became a representation of national identity and divine favor. Pilgrims from all over the kingdom showed up to worship, and dignitaries from other countries were awestruck by the beauty of the structure. The visit of the Queen of Sheba to Jerusalem is often regarded as one of the most significant events that occurred during Solomon's reign. She arrived with a caravan full of gifts, having been drawn to him by tales of his wealth and knowledge. However, she was even more surprised by what she discovered when she arrived. The report I heard in my own land was true, but I did not believe it until I saw it with my own eyes, she said, echoing the admiration of many people all across the world through her remarks. Moreover, not even half of it was communicated to me. In spite of this, fractures started to appear behind the scenes of this golden age. Solomon was elevated to a higher level by his achievement, but it also came temptation. During the course of his riches accumulation, he also gathered power in ways that gradually deviated from the law that Moses had established. He imposed enormous taxes, forced laborers to work for him, and progressively dominated Israel in a manner that was reminiscent of the foreign tyrants that Israel had been warned of in the past. Solomon's huge harem, which consisted of 700 wives and 300 concubines, was more than just a symbol of indulgence. It was a representation of the numerous political marriages that Solomon had undertaken in order to strengthen alliances. These women originated from other countries, and along with them came gods from other countries. Solomon's heart, which had been completely devoted to Yahweh in the past, eventually became divided. In an effort to placate his wives and the civilizations they came from, he constructed elevated locations and temples dedicated to deities such as Moloch, Chemosh, and Ashtoreth. During this period of slide into idolatry, Israel made a significant break from the covenant that had previously ensured their blessing. Solomon disregarded the divine order, despite the fact that God had twice come to him and warned him not to follow other gods. A path that led Israel to compromise on a spiritual level was now being walked by the king who had dedicated the temple with such passionate devotion to the spiritual realm. Unrest started to simmer throughout the organization, as Solomon's costly projects continued to be funded by taxes and forced labor. The northern tribes eventually became sick of the situation. David had exerted a great deal of effort to construct togetherness, but it was breaking apart at the seams. God had already proclaimed via the prophet Ahijah that the kingdom would be torn apart, not during Solomon's lifetime, for the sake of David, but during the authority of his son. Solomon continued to keep control of the kingdom until the day he passed away. The latter writings of Solomon, in particular the book of Ecclesiastes, reveal a king who is becoming more and more disillusioned with the ephemeral nature of earthly success. An introspective lament on the futility of wealth, pleasure, and effort without a lasting spiritual foundation, he wrote, "Vanity of vanities, all is vanity." This introspective lament was written by him, a man who had reached the pinnacles of splendor, but felt emptiness in the absence of obedience, as shown by these statements, which provide a somber contrast to the enthusiasm that characterized his early reign. As Solomon, who had ruled for 40 years, passed away, the kingdom was on the verge of disintegrating into two separate kingdoms. Instead of listening to the advice of seasoned advisors, his son Rehoboam made the decision to continue his father's authoritarian practices. As a result of his hubris, a rebellion broke out, and 10 of the 12 tribes separated from the rest of Israel to form the northern kingdom of Israel under Jeroboam. Only Judah and Benjamin stayed faithful to the house of David, which resulted in the formation of the kingdom of Judah in the western region. Because of this, the golden period did not come to an end as a result of an invasion or a tragedy. Rather, it was brought about by a quiet fissure that was brought about by unbridled ambition, spiritual compromise, and a failure to listen sound counsel. In spite of this, Solomon's legacy lives on. In spite of the fact that it was eventually destroyed and rebuilt, the temple that he constructed became the center of Jewish worship and identity. Readers from all over the world continue to benefit from the knowledge and introspection that his books provide. Even though his rule was not without its flaws, it serves as a reminder of the heights that a people can achieve when they are blessed by God, as well as the ease with which those heights can be destroyed when that favor is taken for granted. It also serves as a cautionary tale about the insidious pull of pride. Both the glory of building for God and the tragedy of diverting one's attention away from Him are revealed by it. In both its triumph and its tragedy, Solomon's life continues to serve as a mirror for leaders and nations alike, prompting us to recall that genuine greatness is not just found in power or grandeur, but rather in loyalty to the one who bestows these things. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.